Hello, and welcome back to the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. I'm Isaiah, and I'm here to break down this weekend's action at Kansas. So last weekend's race at Dover didn't go our way. We had Kyle Larson to win it all, and Ross Chastain just had to get into the rear end of the number 15 Ford, which then came up right in front of Kyle Larson and ended his day early. Larson had a rocket ship at Dover. He was flying through the field. I think he was running in P5 when the accident occurred. So really, really frustrating way to lose that bet, but whatever. We're on to the next one. You can't win them all. Today, we're going to talk obviously about Kansas. I'll give a race preview. We'll talk about this awesome promotion at Tipico where you can get your name on Zane Smith's truck. And we're going to talk a bit about Odd Shopper Insider Access as well, which is the only way to get access to my full NASCAR betting cards. Great. Let's jump into the race preview. This is the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. Kansas is a 1.5 mile high-speed intermediate track, which means that it rewards raw speed much more than tire management or driver skill, in my opinion. The best comparator, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. At least of all the tracks we've run so far this season, Las Vegas has to be the easiest and best comparator to use when trying to handicap Kansas. So, other things to know. 8 of the top 8 drivers by driving rating at Kansas last year, the Kansas Spring Race, were top 8 in driver rating at Vegas in the spring as well. So there's significant correlation here. One exception was the winner, unfortunately, of last year's Kansas race, Kurt Busch, but he had led laps at Las Vegas. So looking at driver rating and laps led should provide us some meaningful insight into which drivers to pick for this weekend, although I'll be making a big exception with one of our favorites for the weekend, and it'll make sense why in just a little bit. But before we get into the picks, let me talk about Tipico Sportsbook. So in case you've ever wanted your name on a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series truck, now's your chance. Simply deposit $38 at Tipico Sportsbook, and you'll get just that, plus $150 in-site bet credits. Smith will pilot the number 38 Tipico Ford at Mid-Ohio, and the Sportsbook wanted to get some exposure, so they've sponsored him for the race, and you can get your name on the truck with this promotion. However, you're going to want to act fast because only the first 300 depositors who opt into the promo will get their name on the number 38 truck. So it's not everyone. It's just the first 300. So you're going to want to hurry. If I were in a state where Tipico were legal, I would have taken advantage of this already. So you would have one fewer spot. Unfortunately, I'm in Tennessee where it's not legal. So that gives you the opportunity to get ahead of me and get your name on this truck. Also, the top 5 depositors in deposit size will get VIP passes to a truck event of their choosing. So you don't have to go all the way out to Mid-Ohio if that's not near you. You can actually find a track that is a little bit closer for the Truck Series if you end up winning those VIP passes. For more details and disclaimers, please check the information in the description and in the comment section. Perfect. Now let me pull up the odds board so we can dive into this weekend's picks. So I already said that we're going to make one big exception to the Las Vegas comparator rule, and that's because we're going to be taking Chase Elliott at 13-1. So why is this an exception to the Vegas rule? Because Chase was injured and didn't run at Vegas, unfortunately. So we didn't get any data on him here. However, the fact that he wasn't able to compete at Vegas kind of signals to me that, oh, the books are sleeping on him in a little bit. He probably would have run pretty well had he actually shown up to race at Vegas. I think this is a prime buy low spot for him now that Elliott's back in the number 9 Chevrolet. He's been out for a decent amount of the season with an injury. He hasn't run super great since coming back. I think he finished 11th or 12th at Dover, and he did okay at Talladega, but couldn't win the whole thing. But the reason why we're playing this line is because Hendrick Motorsports has been fantastic this year, and they were dominant at Vegas. The team scored a 1-2-3 finish without Elliott in the lineup. I think their other driver, Josh Berry, in the number 9 Chevrolet, which is what Elliott will be driving, finished somewhere in the 20s, but that's because he was making his next-gen car debut. So we'll let that slide. The reason why we're targeting Chase Elliott is just because of how dominant Hendrick has been, and because we're getting a number like 13-1. That is far too long for him. Also, if you look at his Kansas resume, it's quite impressive. He has an average finish of 11.2 with a win and 6 top 5 finishes. So I think it's safe to say that Chase Elliott is one of the favorites going into the weekend, or should be evaluated as such. And the 13-1 number that you can find at Tipico is a little bit too inflated. So we're going to take advantage of that. Perfect. So that's our first pick. Next, he's actually at a shorter price over here. It's Tyler Reddick, who's now at plus 750. He was trading at plus 770 a little bit ago. However, you can find the 8-1, which is a much better price, over at BetMGM. So why are we targeting Tyler Reddick? Well, if you watch the last two races at Kansas, the number 45 Toyota found victory lane both in the spring and in the fall, despite having two different drivers behind the wheel. Kurt Busch took it to victory lane in the spring, and then Bubba Wallace took it to victory lane in the fall. Why not make it three different drivers in a row for the number 45 Toyota? I think the team has shown more than enough speed this year, especially at high-speed intermediates. Bubba Wallace in the number 23 Toyota actually was the highest finishing Toyota in fourth at Las Vegas. Uh, Obviously, that's not Tyler Reddick, but Reddick had to make an engine change before the race, and he never really had like a great chance at running that well. I think he finished 10th in green flag speed because he couldn't practice, he couldn't qualify because they had to make that engine swap over. And he also started way deep in the field, and I think 34th. So Reddick didn't get a really fair shake at Vegas. I think he'll get a very fair shake at Kansas this weekend. The other thing to note is that Reddick is pretty darn good at Kansas. Last year, he was leading early after starting on the pole, but had a left rear tire failure cost him his strong performance. I don't think that'll happen this weekend. I don't think that Reddick deserves a price nearly this long. I think that if I were trying to pick a favorite, it would probably be Reddick. I'd probably have him at 6 or 5 to 1, not 8 to 1 that you can get at BetMGM. So I'm a huge fan of that play. I'm slamming it. I've already slammed it at MGM just because I don't think that number will be available by the time the green flag flies, especially because Reddick qualified on the pole for the fall race last year. Would not be shocked to see him start up front or at least on the front row when Sunday rolls around. Great. So before we get into our long shot, because we have always got to have a long shot. I want to talk about Odd Shopper Insider Access, which I already said is the only way to get access to my full NASCAR betting cards. You get a ton of awesome perks with Insider Access. You gain access to our betting experts in a premium Discord, which means you get picks in real time, like live bets. You also get the best numbers available. I think a couple of days ago, I had an NBA play, James Harden under 24.5 points. Then Embiid gets rolled in. Then the number closes at 21.5, and Harden finishes with 12 points. So it didn't matter what number you got in at, you still made money. But if you got in at the 24 to 1, you were a lot less sweaty by the end of the game than you were if you had the 21 and a half. I think I said 24 to 1. I meant the 24 and a half versus the 21 and a half. You were sweating a lot less because Harden had, I think, 11 in the first half. So that's still a little sketchy for the 21 and a half, but not so sketchy for the 24 and a half, which is why you need to sign up for Insider Access. You can use code ISInsider. That's ISInsider to get your first week of access for 50% off. And then after that, it's just $19.95. So if I were you, I would hop in the Discord. I would place all of our bets, and then I would use the money you make from that to keep paying for Discord and keep getting winning bets. Alrighty, it's time for our long shot. And if you were paying close attention, I'm pretty sure you can figure out who it's going to be. It's going to be a guy at 60 to 1. It's going to be, there's only one guy at 60 to 1 here. It's got to be Josh Berry. Why are we taking Josh Berry? Well, for the same reasons we're taking Chase Elliott. Josh Berry drives for Hendrick Motorsports. He will take over the number 48 Chevrolet for Alex Bowman this weekend. Bowman, of course, finished third at Las Vegas, so a very strong car at a very similar track. I think Berry can get the job done. He's finished second already this year at Martinsville, and then he scored a P10 at Dover. So those are some pretty strong and impressive runs for Berry already this season. He has enough Cup Series experience. I know that he's a substitute driver, so he hasn't run all the races this year. But because he got so many starts in for Elliott, and because he got his first start actually at Las Vegas, that tells me that Josh Berry should have enough experience in this car and at tracks like this to potentially score a win, especially at a price like 60 to 1. That number is ridiculous to me. Berry has enough talent to win this race. Obviously, he doesn't have as much of an incentive because he's not running for a championship, but you can look at it the other way, right? He doesn't care about, he might care about owner's points, but from a personal perspective, Josh Berry doesn't care about anything but wins at this point to prove that he belongs in the Cup Series. Although rumors are suggesting that he will be piloting the number 4 Ford for Kevin Harvick next year. That's still to be announced. But I think that Berry comes out and runs strong here. The odds of 60 to 1 are far, far too long for a guy this talented in a car this fast. Great. Let me pull these picks from the stream. And now let's give our recap. So we've got 3 tickets in the video. I have another driver who I have outright exposure on in the article that you can read. And I have another driver only for our premium Discord members. But the 3 picks in the video. Number 1, Chase Elliott, 13 to 1 at Tipico. Great price. Absolutely fantastic deal. Next, Reddick 8-1 at BetMGM. That number will disappear by qualifying. I'm calling it now. You're not going to find that number at MGM by the time the race rolls around. There's a reason why it's a much shorter price at every other book. Yeah, you're going to want to get that 8-1 before it disappears. Lastly, our long shot of the weekend is Josh Berry at 60-1. You can find that price at Tipico. You can find that price at DraftKings. That seems to be roughly where the market consensus is, which is, again, crazy to me given the fact that he is driving a Team Hendrick Chevrolet that dominated at Las Vegas. But I'm not the odds maker, so I'm not the one who's going to be taking a potential L on the 60-1 number that they're hanging right now. Great. That's all I've got for you this week. Please like and subscribe if you found this content useful, and especially if you play some of these bets and you come back. Please leave a like and subscribe then if you don't do it now when I make you some money. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys next week. And until then, take care.